John, you want to ask Mike anything? This guy's actually don't let his hat fool you. He's a Yankee fan. But
Okay.
but yeah, go ahead, John. Anything you want to ask?
Yeah, I had to wear the hat. This is from when we met way back. When you were the manager in 2015, I think it was, and you brought us out on the field. So that was a fantastic time. I still have the hat. I still have the memories. It was a great time, and I appreciate it. I want to say thank you again, to you and Tony. And I wanted to ask, based on this topic, I know a lot of people are saying that the pitch clock could be an issue for why people are getting injured seems like at a more rapid rate. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Are we kind of eliminating that with the talk that we've had here? Is it more just the growing up throwing more velocity and maybe the different angles and the grips on the baseball, or can the pitch clock be a factor at all here?
No, I don't. I think, they'll collect that and they'll make their determination. I don't think so. I think pitchers have plenty of time to recover from the time they get on the mound, to throw a pitch within either 15 or 20 or is it 18 seconds now? The guy on, I think, on base. Um,
Yeah.
they should have plenty of time to recover and then deliver another pitch. If there is something that's pitchers come up with and say, look, I'm just fatiguing earlier because I'm not getting reset between pitches. I think that you'd have to look at that. Right now, just talking off the top of my head, I wouldn't think that would be an issue, but stranger things have happened. It could be, and I think that it's worth looking at.
Yeah,
I'd like to touch on something real quick. Yesterday was Jackie Robinson Day. Obviously, that was a wonderful day. And I don't know if you heard, but Carl Erstead today passed away at 97. Yes.
Yes. God bless him.
Yes.
I had a chance to meet Carl a number of times, and what a gentleman! I don't think there's a nicer gentleman ever walked the earth, and true inspiration for how he led his life, not only as a pitcher but as a father and a husband, a businessman, and just as a person. And it's a sad day, but just from my own personal perspective, just to be around him. I had conversations with him over the years when I was with the Dodgers. He would come down to spring training. What a beautiful person he was, and he has a great legacy. And also, Whitey Herzog passed away also.
Yes.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yes.
Big loss for MLB. I don't know if there was a guy more passionate about
Baseball.
winning, or a guy who applied more common sense than Whitey Herzog did when he was a GM and managing in the major leagues.
Oh yeah,
He was
he managed
excellent.
with the Royals and the Cardinals, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, he was great. My friend asked me to ask you this question. Outside of nutrition and what would you say in the last 50 years is missing from today's players that yesterday's players had?
Well, I think it was 50 years ago, you grew up with the art of hitting. You understood how to use the whole field. You understood that that a strikeout was really something, you walk back to the dugout and it's like it's a huge red flag as to what kind of player if you just struck out too much. So you really focused on putting the ball in play. You focus on helping your team. You focus on learning the art of bunting. You learn the art of base running to go first to third. A lot of this has been diluted because of part of it was in the 90s when you had the big steroid scandals where these guys were just playing slow pitch softball and just lining up trying to hit 3-run home runs. And there's much more to the game than that. So what I think is missing in today's game is the art of playing the game, whether it's a pitcher understanding the art of pitching, not just the mechanics and the analytics of it, the art of pitching, along with when you're in that batter's box, understanding what the game needs, what that situation needs, and trying to do your best to bring it to your team.
Mike, you brought up, you threw the S word out there, the scandals of the 90s. We're in the midst of one now. What's your thoughts and opinions about the influence of gambling and the absolute accessibility of gambling in these games today?
Well, I think, Major League rule, I think it's 26 is very clear, and it has to be strong. people, baseball has absorbed so many scandals over the year. You look at, you look at the steroid era, you look at so many things that have happened. Baseball will not survive if you go to a ballpark and you don't know that both teams are trying their best to win that ball game. And if that would ever come into play, baseball's done. So it has to be a strong rule. I think that a lot of players they have their office, the pools they have for football, their fantasy football things. That's all I'm talking about. But if you're betting big on any sport to where you can be leveraged, where you're down, as we talked about, with Otani's translator, Ipe, you're down. What was it? I think it's up to $16 million or something like that.
Yes.
That he's somehow lost. As for a player to do that puts him in such a precarious position, and you never want to be that way. So the rule needs to be there. The rule needs to be very strong, and I think that we understood that as young guys coming into Major League Baseball. That it was something you just don't even think about doing.
Well, it was always that way. I mean, they never let Shoeless Joe into the Hall of Fame because of it, and now they're saying he really wasn't even a part of it. But they held firm, and I kind of respect it in a way, because if you give this much, and all of a sudden the door starts opening, and then you'll start, letting anybody in, and that cheated, and it really can get out of control. I think I really, really do. I
Well,
mean,
I don't think it helps the game at all when you can go to the Cleveland Cavalier games and get into the arena and go up to the betting machines and bet before the game. Or you can go to, Wrigley Field outside. They have betting machines outside before you even get into the ballpark. And I mean, what kind of message does that send to everybody?
right?
I agree.
You got a betting machine in your hand, Tony. You just pick up the phone and log
Phone,
on.
that's the phone. Yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
back.
I know,
Yeah.
but they're making it public. I mean, it's available when you walk. What is a young kids with their parents? They go to the ball game and then they walk up to the machine and they see their parents put a bet on the game. What are the little kids going to think? I mean,
right.
you know, it's wow.
You know
It's
what's
scary. It's a scary time. It really is.
well, you know what's different? Like for years, all major league sports stayed away from Vegas and the whole thing. Now they welcome it. They want to get as close as they can. It's people's morals have totally dropped off the table. They don't know what's right and wrong anymore. And I think that's a big part of it. And it's seeping into sports. That's what I think, to be
Well,
honest.
I think Major League Baseball has always done a good job of educating every young player
Right.
on what the situation is, and I think that they would take a very hard line if it's very clear if you're betting on baseball as a Major League Baseball player, and it's games that you're not participating in. It's a year. It's you're out for a year. If
Right.
it's a game you participate in, you're out for a lifetime. You're not getting back into baseball, and I think that has to be held to the highest standard, to where guys understand this isn't like steroids where it's a suspension. Okay, well, now I can get back in. No, this is baseball will have scandals, and they will overcome them. If there's a betting scandal in baseball, baseball is knocked back to the Stone Age. It's done.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, they literally put Mountain Landis in there to stop him in 1920. So,
Right.
and they're pretty firm about it. Let's just hope they stay that way,
I
because
think they will.
things
I
are
think
getting bad.
these guys, they understand it. They understand what's going on. MLB security is very, very tight, and they do a great job. And I think, I think they'll be able to keep that part of it away. I hope they will.
Okay.
Like who do they go to, these players, as a resource for, you know, those rules and stuff like that? Who is the person that's, is it their agent? Is it the older players that have been around? Is it, yourself as the manager back then? Who was the person that was going around, hey kids, let's stay on track, baseball, no betting, kept their head on the game and kept them off of, these illegal things and the rules.
Yeah, we already talked about, about betting one time in spring training. We talk about I believe it's Rule 26. I'm in MLB. We would talk about it. We would have people from the, a lot of people would come in from Secret Service. A lot of people from the FBI would come in and let you know what a lot of guys who were, having, running these bets, what they were trying to get to you. They'll try to get information from you. They might try to get you to bet. We had a lot of proactive work so players can understand the pitfalls that can come from this. So it was a group effort. Obviously, as a manager, you're worried about the players' welfare. You don't know what they always do when they're away from the park. You don't know that. But when they came to the park, you want to make sure they were ready mentally and physically to go out there and play a ball game. And we had a lot of peripheral help with, like I said, we had agents that were with MLB that were assigned to our team, that would help out. General manager, the whole front office has a total understanding of, the nuances of the rules or what's happening is, there. And so, the communication was never an issue.
As compared to when you coached, do you think the coaches today are not coaching the same way? I mean, are they?
I don't know. I think there's not a Major League Baseball manager that doesn't have a total passion for the game
Right.
and a total understanding of the importance of practice. If you look at Ronnie Washington, who, he's old school with the Angels, he's got guys out there every day, the infielders out there every day working on technique, working on, he has drills for infielders. Much like I did, I was a catcher, so we would have our catchers out there 3 times a week, working on their techniques. So I think the managers and coaches are as passionate as they've ever been. And now there's more of them, and they're more specific to their roles, which gives them a better chance to dig into their specialty and try to make an impact.
Yeah, but when they try to make certain decisions, though, and I know you don't always do the right thing, but some of these choices are based on the analytics, and it drives me up the wall. I mean, there's not even a stat for a 1-hitter or a 2-hitter. There used to be stats like that. This guy had 7 1-hitters. That was a big deal. Now, I mean, they're taking him out of no-hitters now. I mean, John and I went to the game where the Astro pitcher was throwing a no-hitter, and they took him out in the 7th and almost lost it in the 8th because Gallo just missed the home run by that much and swung around the pole foul. And, I mean, but they ended up getting the no-hitter. It was like a 4 pitching gem, 4, different guys pitching it. But
analytics now are another resource that a lot of managers are making to use. A lot of pitching coaches, even pregame to decide what your lineup might be, or how you're going to, use your pitching staff on that given night. But I just think there's still an art form to managing that, and I see young managers. I think they have it. I think they're good at it. They have a good feel for the game, and occasionally they buck the trend of what maybe the guys upstairs that are crunching the numbers think should happen. They make those decisions, and I think they follow their instincts. They use data, they use analytics, but a lot of that is not going to lead to the result all the time that you
want. Yeah, and you know what? Because like I said, on certain nights you got to go on field. And just your own observation. I remember early in the year, like I text Tony and I was watching the game and the pitcher clearly didn't have it in the first inning. And I'm like, they better take him out before the Yankees win. I knew right away and they didn't. And, Tony texted back, oh, it's the first inning. It doesn't matter. I've seen it a million times. And surely enough, he got rocked and the Yankees won. And then the next guy shut him down for the rest of the game, but it was too late. So it happens so much. And I think that's kind of hurting the managers a little bit because they're so focused on the 100 pitch count. They kind of miss what's really going on in the game itself. They're overlooking it. It's like, since they're going to get 100, So.
I'm going to push back on that a little, Bob. I think that we're at a stage now where you get, like I said, you get pitch count specific to each pitcher. and you can evaluate their spin rate, you can evaluate their velocity, you evaluate their command. Sometimes they can hide their velocity by trying to throw harder, but they lose command. So there's a lot there's a lot of checkpoints that you use to evaluate where a pitcher is. And I think most managers do a good job with it. I think that the way the game has evolved now, where you don't have that lefty to come in for one hitter anymore, he's got to face three. It affects your staffs. But also, as I said, you're seeing pitching staffs of 14, sometimes 15 pitchers, and this this lets you this just lets you keep rolling guys out every inning if you need to. I don't think the game was, we talked about before, I don't think the game was meant to be that kind of it worked in that way. But
No,
right now it's
absolutely.
being worked a lot of that. You're seeing a lot of relievers come in.
But
So, Mike,
sometimes go ahead.
I just got to ask, what is it that distinguishes, between the successful franchises and the ones that persistently lack success? What's the kind of kryptonite that leads to this failure? Is it just money? Is it just failure to recognize talent adequately? What is it that keeps some of these franchises down?
I think there's not just one thing. I think it's specific to each time, and each little environment is a little bit different. I've always been a guy that has felt if you want long-term success, you need to build a team around pitching and defense. And I think that you're going to have those games you said before, Bob, where the Mets didn't hit or this.
Right.
You're going to have occasional times like that, but if you pitch and you have defense, I can speak from my experience with the Angels. That goes a long way to you starting to build your offense and play the game the way you need to win and have success. And I think there was a change of philosophy with the Angels where it went away from pitching and defense, went more to the offensive side, and all of a sudden you were not holding leads. You were scoring some runs, but you weren't holding leads. And I just know from being there that had that created a lot of headwinds as far as what we were trying to do. Other organizations, I'm sure it's different with some of them. You do need to draft well. Absolutely, you need to draft well. Those first 3 or 4 picks every year in the draft that you have as a team are critical to moving forward and having a long-term success. And again, Houston struggled for 4 or 5 years, and then they built that dynasty with draft choices and great trades. I talked about the Baltimore Orioles. Sometimes you stub your toe a little bit, you take back, you regroup, you draft well, and you can get back on board. So quick fixes are very rare in baseball. I think for the long term, you need to develop your own pitching because pitching is such a resource that costs a lot of money out there. It takes a lot of your payroll to have a good pitching staff. If you're developing your own, you can keep them until they start, having an opportunity to make too much money. You can keep them together, let them perform, and then hopefully have an opportunity to win a championship.
Are you seeing in general that defense may be underemphasized as a whole right now?
I think it was for a long time. I think it was probably when you talk about people focus on offense, they may be either undervalued or didn't understand the value of a shortstop that makes tough plays look easy, or the center fielder that has so much range that the corner guys, there's less of an impact on them to where you can get maybe guys a little less field but a little more hit in the corner outfields. I think some teams overlook that component, and if you're not going to have defense, you better have pitchers that are striking everybody out, because when that ball's hit, you need guys to make plays.
Well, that's true. Mike, can I push back a little bit on that? Am I allowed?
You're allowed to push back on anything, Bob. You can pull the plug on me if you want.
No, no. You know what? All I was going to say was, and I understand pitching and D is important, and I understand that's always been the philosophy. Good pitching stops good hitting, but the actual quote was, and vice versa. And I honestly thought the reason you guys could handle the Yankees because you had the hitting to do it as well as the pitching, and you have to stand up to them. And And I can make the argument about the Braves. All those years they had those great pitchers, they only won one time. And the Yankees had the most World Series wins, and they've always all the guys in the Hall of Fame were hitters. They had the best hitters all those years. So I mean, I am not against pitching in day. I am not against defense in any sport, but I think sometimes offense is overlooked and sometimes forgotten.
Yeah, we're not going out for a 0-0 game. You're right. You have to score.
Right.
But I would much rather have an organization that has a very, very strong pitching staff from the rotation to the bullpen with a lot of guys coming through the minor leagues that can pitch and start developing that way and let your hitting work around that. I just think it's too tough. You know, the Yankees, they've had success, but they've also had some tremendous pitchers too. I mean,
Yeah, they have.
We faced them in '81 when it first came up, and they had guys that were bombing the ball, but they had guys that were pitching well too. And you had Gossage in the bullpen. You had guys that we beat them in '81, but they were still a powerhouse. So I think that I understand what you're saying. I think offense is great. If you have a tremendous offense and you have terrible pitching, you have no chance. If you have tremendous pitching and a terrible offense, you have a chance to make some changes offensively in the course of a season, in the course of over the course of a span of a couple of years.
I'm not going anything. I said I'm not against defense or pitching, but I just think that the offense is sometimes overlooked. And
so if you had a team, you'd rather have a strong offensive team and maybe mediocre pitching, as opposed to vice versa.
I think that you should have a powerhouse, and I learned this from my brother, from Tony, because the Orioles for those 3 years, they just were. Yes, the Mets beat them and the Pirates beat them, but that probably shouldn't have. That it shouldn't have happened. And Anthony would be the first one to tell you that. But they had both. They did have the great pitching. The one year they had the 420 game winners, but without those hitters, without the Robinsons and the Powell and I mean, those guys were monsters. And I realize you need both. And the Yankees, you're right. The Yankees have had great pitching, but they've only ever had in their history, and they've been around forever, 5 Cy Young Award winners in their history, which is considered to over 100 years. That's not really a lot. And most of their guys in the Hall of Fame were hitters. They were sluggers. So, and like I said, and me being a Met fan, maybe I'm a little against it because the Mets have always had pitching, and but they couldn't hit. And I mean, I still see some guys batting 200 today. And I think the old Mets of the '70s. I still think it. I go, that guy's he could have been a Met.
I want to make 2 points here. I think there was so much emphasis on Ruth and Garrick and all the great hitters in the Yankees, Mantle, Berra, Maris, all the great players they had. There was so much focus on them. People forgot about their Whitey Fords and all their great pitchers and that they had. They had to have great pitching because they couldn't always win every game 15-0. I mean, they had a lot of close games in there. And so I kind of agree. And then the other thing I want to say is last couple of years, Mike, every night after all the games are done, because we can watch all the games out here and they're all done, I count every night how many errors there are every night through every game. And I mean, I'm telling you, I've gone from 13 to 20 a night. I never hear anybody on MLB talk about it. They talk about all the stats. They talk about the winners. They talk about the great plays. But every single night, there's anywhere from 13 to 20 errors with every team out there that's playing on every night. And I just said, where's the defense? I always say, where's the defense here? I mean, whether the team wins or loses, I just count all the errors. I mean, it's unbelievable.
There's truth to that, Tony. Definitely truth to that. I think athletically, these guys are so athletic. As far as if you look at shortstops in Major League Baseball, look at the center fielders. They're very athletic. I kind of look at it as errors as, they come in waves. There are good errors where a guy's aggressive and maybe the ball just takes a bad hop. And then there are some where a guy lays back on it and, and just lets the ball play him and he loses a play. There are errors where you should turn a double play and you don't show up as an error. There's a lot of different factors that come into defense, how you evaluate it. And I think, I think your point's taken that I think some teams, and I'm not speaking for all the teams, some teams will overlook some things on the defensive end, and I don't think I think it needs to be addressed in some cases for sure.
So is it too early in the show, too early in the season for all of us to maybe give some predictions here? I'd like to hear some predictions, Mike.
Well, I think it is too early. Because there's a lot of ifs. I can say this, if this happens, or if this happens, if this happens. Love the makeup of the Dodgers as far as their offensive club. As Tony, as you said, defensively, you have Mookie Betts moving to shortstop, which he's never really played at the major leagues. Yeah,
Right.
Lux getting back into second base. If they settle in and make the plays, it's going to go a long way to what the Dodgers need to do. They need to get their rotation stay healthy. Their bullpen right now is still forming. They've got some good arms, but it's going to be contingent on that. And the American League, I don't know how you can't like the Orioles. I just think they've got the whole package right now. If they can maintain it, they're going to be a contender.
You made my friend very happy who jumped from the Mets to the Orioles. He even told somebody I was born in Baltimore, and he clearly wasn't. But no, they're good, and now they're only, I think, a game and a half back because the Yanks lost 2 in a row.
Mike, you mentioned Lux and moving Mookie to shortstop. I saw that injury last year, and I really wondered if he was going to be able to come back, and then especially at shortstop, because a couple years ago, Corey Seager had some injuries, and I thought that maybe the Dodgers should have moved him to second base and put less stress on because he had the hip, he had the arm injury, and I thought, but yeah, Mookie is a phenomenal player. I mean, the guy's unbelievable to me. I watch this guy, and every night he just amazes some of the things he does. His arm is unbelievable, but I don't know how comfortable he is and how long it's going to take him to get comfortable if he has to stay in shortstop all year. And he also, a couple of years ago, he had a hip injury, and I don't think, he can afford the twisting and the turning, the pivoting, making the double plays, diving in a hole for the ball. I mean, I have a concern that, he could injure that again. Maybe because that's my trainer coming out of me. I don't know, but I don't, I'm watching Lux and I see he's struggling. And that injury he had was really a bad injury. I'm amazed that he's back out there playing. I'm happy for him, but I really question whether he'd ever come back from that knee injury that he sustained. And obviously he couldn't handle shortstop. So they had to move Mookie. And it's a good thing the Dodgers have players who can play multiple positions.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of teams don't have that flexibility. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, their top of their lineups is really loaded. I mean, they're phenomenal. They got 4 or 5 guys hitting over 300 right now. If their pitching comes along, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs. Ohtani, he's a great player. There's no doubt about it. I mean, and I question whether he'll ever pitch again. He's had 2 Tommy John surgeries. He may not come back and be the pitcher that he was, or he may not even be able to pitch again. But he's a great designated hitter. He's a great hitter. And whether he'll be able to play the field for them, I don't know. That's going to be a question on his elbow. So it's going to be very interesting to watch how the things develop. And, if Walker Buehler can come back. I mean, he's had 2 Tommy Johns. And like I said, I've read the stats on it. And not many people have made a comeback from that after two. They just have never made it back. And so it's going to be very interesting. But the bottom of their lineup struggling right now, but the top of their lineups really knocking it over the fence. And I'm very happy to see Mike Trout doing so well. I know, as you are. I
Yes,
love
sir.
Mike Trout. This guy's phenomenal Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it, you know.
Great kid too. He's a great kid.
Yeah.
Tony, those are all legitimate ifs that you're putting up. Like I talked about ifs, they're all legitimate ifs. I think I will say this about Mookie Betts. Mookie is excited to play shortstop. He might be the best athlete in the major leagues.
Yeah. I
And,
get that.
and you give him time and he will be an above average shortstop. And all the ifs you said are very legitimate. And I don't know if it's going to be less stress on him than diving the outfield for balls. I don't know, and running that much in right field. But if he can play shortstop, then that's going to be have a huge positive impact on what the Dodgers do.
Right.
What other teams do you like, Mike, outside of the Orioles?
What are the teams?
Yeah.
Oh, I think, like if you look at, I don't know about Arizona. Arizona is they've got some real nice parts. Love the way they run the bases. Love their offense.
Yes.
Texas is going to be tremendous again. They're tough. I think if you look at the Phillies, back in the National League, they're special. Atlanta's going to be special again. So I do like the Yankees. I think they're going to have to hit, as you said before, Bob. They got to mash, and
They'll mash just despite me, if nothing else.
yeah. So there are some real good teams to watch. It's too early to make too many predictions. As I said, there's a lot of ifs.
And
Atlanta took a hit losing Strider. Yeah.
yeah,
Already for the year. I mean, that was a big hit for them already. Yeah. And they're going to have to figure out now their pitching rotation and everything, and then who they've got to bring up, and what they're going to do with that, because that was a big hit for them. I mean, he's a really good pitcher, and that really, I think they were really relying a lot on him being their number one guy, and that hurts. Yeah,
That hurts. That hurts. But they're always, Tony, they're always like the next man up. It seems like
yeah, I know.
As
Yeah.
anybody's filling holes and getting guys, maybe not quite to the caliber he is, but they will be tough.
Yeah, Atlanta's tough. Yeah.
Now, do you like having a base runner on base in extra innings?
Oh, I was going to ask that question. Yeah.
I think, well, what inning are you talking about? If you're talking about the 10th inning, no. If you're talking about the 13th inning, yeah. I think I'd rather play old baseball. Like, it was like within 2 innings, something like 75% of the extra inning games were settled anyway.
Right.
You had those outliers that
Right.
some that went 18 innings they didn't want to see. So I think there comes a time when you're saying, look, we've been here for 4 hours. We're running out of pitching. This game's got to end pretty soon, one way or the other. You can do it, but I don't like it happening in the 10th inning. I think
No, I don't either. It's just ridiculous. It's so unfair. I mean, I know that both teams get it, but it kind of ruins the whole, you got to earn it kind of thing. You're just giving them a free, 2 bases in this case. And I don't like it at all. I kind of hate it, but I understand what you're saying. And most of the time, the games don't go 18 innings, even before they had this rule.
Right.
So I don't like it at all. Yeah. We also have to congratulate Torey Lovello for what he did in Arizona last year.
Oh, amazing.
Nobody thought that was coming.
No, amazing. I think he took a team that that he understood what they could do, and they did it to the max.
Yeah.
They ran the bases like demons. They were putting pressure on teams every out. There was a pressure on the defense to make plays.
Yeah.
And then and they pitched really well in the playoffs. I mean, to pitch that well against a Dodger team, that was unheard of. So he did a tremendous job.
And then knocking the Phillies out because they were a great hitting team. So
Exactly right.
yeah.
Now, Mike, the last time you came on, you actually expressed some concern about the future of the game, the kind of lacking in terms of the young people playing the game and where it's going. Do you still hold those concerns?
I think there's been a shift over the last 30 years where some of the other sports have stolen our athletes away from baseball. When we grew up, everybody tried to play baseball anyway. You had baseball, basketball, and you had football. that's what you had. Soccer really wasn't prevalent when
Mhm.
growing up. So
Right.
everybody at least tried to play baseball. It's kept your best athletes at least trying to play. And some guys wrapped their arms around baseball, and maybe it wasn't their favorite sport, but they became better at it than any other sport. They went on and continued to play and had made it to the major leagues. So we're bucking a lot of that. You're fighting a lot of that. Baseball is a tough game at a youth level to coach. You really have to keep practices high energy, which soccer has in it, lacrosse has in it, basketball has in it, football has in it. So you need to get creative to really bring these kids together. So I've done a lot of work in the last 5 years with amateur baseball, and I think that I'm more excited than I was before at how many young kids are loving the game of baseball. Maybe they're not as many playing the game of baseball as when we were younger, where I said everybody tried it. But the ones that are very athletic. They love the game. They're wrapping their arms around it. They're passionate. So we're going to continue to see tremendous players over this next generation.
Well,
And
that's
is the
great.
sport growing internationally? I mean, you had the experience with the national team. Do you see baseball growing worldwide?
Absolutely. Baseball, the next big boom is going to be in Africa, and you're seeing some teams and leagues sprout up there. You're seeing, I sent a bunch of equipment to the Philippines to some guys that started leagues there. I think that baseball is getting getting its grip around the world, and I think that's going to have a big impact on where baseball is in the next 50 years for sure.
Well, that is good news because I know a lot of people in this country thought baseball was starting to, sink down a
Yeah.
little bit.
Sounds like there's hope for the sport.
Yeah, that's
Well,
We love
you
it,
know,
whether it's hope or not. We love it.
yeah, of course, of course.
well, it's very interesting. I don't know if you're aware, but this year, you talk about international and everything. This year, opening day of the NBA, there was 125 foreign athletes on the opening day roster.
Mm.
More than ever.
Yeah, basketball is totally global.
So if basketball can do it, baseball can do it.
Sure.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
No,
Even
it's
and
been
I,
it's been it's been held in the Western Hemisphere. I mean, you've had, obviously Latin America has been strong in baseball for 100 years. But now when you're starting to see what's happening in Japan and Korea and Taiwan, there are some terrific baseball players playing baseball there. And I think you're looking at Australia, you're looking at New Zealand, you're looking at, like I said, Africa, and just being able to bring this game to those countries would be and continents would be huge for our game. And I think you're right, Tony. You're going to see baseball here probably in the next 20 years, where you're going to see maybe it's 50-50 of guys born in the States and guys that are born outside the country.
you know, it's funny. I have a friend from England, and England did really well in the last tournament, the World Tournament. And I asked my friend, and he goes, "Bob, England's winning." I go, "Who's on the team?" He goes, "I don't know, but I'm happy." I'm just like, so it's starting to really pick up even there. So they're really starting to like it there, which is great.
Yeah, well, they need to get the grassroots, Bob. Those were all players from the U.S. that were playing over there. Most of them were playing,
Okay,
you
I'll
know,
tell
with
my
the
friend.
England uniform on. But you need to get grassroots. You need to get the little league started. You need to get these kids playing the game, and it can
Right,
happen quickly. I mean, there are 3-year-old kids that are in England right now that all they're going to know they're going to play soccer. They know that, but if you get them acclimated to playing baseball, they pick it up quickly, and in 20 years you could have a pretty good national team there.
right, right. I
I
know he
mean,
was.
yeah, but is there you follow any other sports, Mike, besides baseball? And anything else?
Oh yeah, the Eagles, Philadelphia Eagles football, football, Penn State football. My son always takes me back to a Notre Dame game. Then we go to a Penn State game every, in the winter, and basketball. I just my heart breaks with the Sixers. It seems like they get close, but they don't get there. But no, I follow other sports as much as I can. I have more time to do it now that I'm, not traveling and managing and consumed with that. But no, I love all sports. I have fun watching and playing and doing things. I have 2 grandkids now. So I always joke with them. I say, look, you're going to play sports, but when you get in trouble with mom and dad, they're going to make you play soccer. That's going to be your penance.
That's a penance. Yes, you're right. You're so right. Um, do you think the Sixers will win it this year?
It hinges on Embiid. If he's healthy, they're going to play. Maxi's playing out of his mind. He's a terrific player.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So if they can get Embiid healthy and playing like the beast he is, they got a chance to go a long way.
Well, I was at the game this year. He was a beast. When he scored the 70 points, I was actually there. And
Yep.
he was
Not a
and
long time.
I went to the last game on Sunday against the Nets. They routed the Nets. I don't think look, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Celtic fan, but I'm gonna push that aside. I don't think the Sixers are gonna be, I don't think anybody's gonna be Boston going. I think they're gonna win it all.
Yeah.
And somebody said, well, you said that before. I go, we didn't have a center before. And now we got Porzingis. We got somebody who can score another 20 points a game. And I said, I always wanted them to win the last few years. I expect it this time. I'll be upset if they don't.
Okay.
So, you know. But
Yeah, Mike, you're welcome to join us for the NBA playoff show if you
yes,
want to talk
we would love
playoffs.
to have you on, Mike.
I like how my special. I love Kuminga with the Warriors. He's coming on, young kid,
Yes,
and I love Mobley with the Cavs.
yes.
This guy's going to be the next Durant when he finally gets together. So there's a lot of young talent there that I really enjoy watching. I don't know if the teams are going to be strong enough to get there, but I'm still holding hope for the Sixers. I'm still holding out for the Sixers.
Yeah, Dr. J was at the game the other day when I was there. They were going nuts. People were going nuts.
Oh, I
They
remember
killed him.
Kangaroo Kid. If I say Kangaroo Kid to you, who's that? Do you know who the Kangaroo Kid was?
Yes, I did know it at one time. Who's that?
Billy Cunningham.
Cunningham. Anthony
Kangaroo
would know
Kid. That's
that.
how far
Tony
back
would
I
know that.
go. Hal Greer,
That's
Billy
right.
Cunningham, Luke
That's right.
Jackson.
That's right.
Oh, late '60s. Yeah.
Yeah, Chamberlain. Eventually, they got him, and then they won
Yeah,
it.
he got away. He's one that got away.
But
So we'll see what happens. So yeah, we're at over an hour. Mike, is anything you're welcome to stay on.
There you are.
Anything else you want to
No, I think
share?
I think we've covered it, guys. I think looking forward to a great baseball season following it. I think we touched on everything. I think Tony, we touched enough in injuries. We don't want to talk about any more injuries.
No more injuries.
Yeah,
No.
I will say this. Years ago, we had a great track coach at UCLA, Jim Bush.
Jimmy Bush, he worked with us too, with the Dodgers.
Yes, and when they started to bring in weight training, they pushed him out. And I said to him then, I said, Jim, what they need to do is they need to have a conditioning coach and a weight coach.
Mhm.
And it needs to be separate, and they need equal time with the teams and the players to get them. They shouldn't lift before they're in condition, because when you go into lifting and you're not in condition, that's when you're about to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim agreed with me, but they pushed him right out.
He worked with us in for Dodgers for a number of years in spring training. And I remember in '88 we all stayed healthy for most of the year, and he would take us to the 17th Street Bridge in Vero Beach, and we would run all the way up to the bridge to the apex, walk back, and we do it at least 12 to 15 times.
Oh,
And
yeah.
your legs are burning, but it's good conditioning, and we loved doing it. He was
I loved working with him at UCLA, and he had great Olympians and great athletes.
Oh yeah.
And he had our football team in such top condition. We were winning the conference and going to Rose Bowl every year. I mean, and then they put in weightlifting, and I wasn't opposed to the weightlifting because we had to keep up with Nebraska and Oklahoma, and we were getting beat by them. And so, but I thought we should have kept both, because I really believe if you get your guys in shape and then you put them in the weight room, they're not apt to get hurt as much than if they just go in there cold off the field and lift.
That's the model being used by Major League Baseball now, Tony. You're definitely seeing the weight training and the strength and conditioning that goes with it. That gets these guys hopefully in that happy medium to where you're minimizing injuries, but they're strong enough to use the workload that are on players now.
Yeah, I mean, that's good, because that's what needs to be done. And I've said that probably 20 years ago that, we need to keep a balance, a real good balance. Yeah.
Anything
All
you
right,
want
guys, look it. I
John,
want
you want to ask any more questions?
Yeah, you can ask me one more question. Go ahead.
John, you have any more questions?
Oh,
I think that's it for me.
John, you didn't say
Yeah, we
anything.
covered a lot, Mike. Great. This is great.
Yeah, a lot of good wisdom.
All right, guys, look it. Great talking to you. Be healthy, be well. Tony,
Thank
I'll see you around here at some point.
Yeah, I've been going to the 4 o'clock and then we were gone for Easter, but I've been going to the 4 o'clock over at St. Jude's because
We hit that one once in a while.
because we like to get a little dinner after, and it's
Yeah.
you can get in the restaurant a little quicker. If you get at 5 and you get out at 6, and
It'd be a
the
little hectic.
lines,
Yeah.
the lines get long. So we were
We're
kind
only
of
like 3 miles apart. We're near each other out here.
I know.
Right.
And 2 weeks from today, I see the neurologist again
Good.
at UCLA.
All right.
I've had 25 5-hour infusions.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
So
right. Well, Tony,
I'm hanging in there.
you
So,
keep going. That's it. You just keep going.
okay.
We're gonna
All
do
right, guys. Thank you. Be
Thanks,
well.
Mike, for
Thanks,
coming
Mike.
on.
Thanks, Mike.
Come
Appreciate
back,
it.
Mike.
Anytime. Open invite.
All right. Thank you.
We're gonna
Thank
do more
you.
shows on baseball as the year goes on, so we'd love to have you back.
Okay. Be happy to.